thank you all for staying. So after everything that you've heard so far, put your hand up and give us a cheer if you're excited to get your blue passport. No? Nobody? Come on, guys. I mean, I know it'll give you less right to travel, and it'll signify your membership of a smaller, more insular country and territory, but it's a whole other colour. What's wrong with you? Look, I wanted to start with a laugh because, in truth, I am incredibly angry about everything this situation represents, and I can feel that anger in the crowd as well. I'm angry at the economic wreckage that is going to cause, and is already being caused as a result of the vote. And as Greens, we often, criticise simple economic numbers like GDP. They don't tell us enough about what's going on within the economy. But you can bet your bottom euro that it won't be the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg who suffer the economic wreckage. That will be pushed down the chain to those most vulnerable and those being failed by a UK government already. I'm angry at the wave of hostility, intolerance and hate crime that was unleashed by a Brexit vote and a Brexit campaign that emboldened the far right and some of the most odious and toxic attitudes in our political culture. And those mainstream politicians and media new and old who have been willing participants in that should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah! I'm angry at the threat that this situation poses to our friends and neighbours in Ireland and Northern Ireland. People on the island of Ireland have far more deep and immediate concerns than many of us about the impact that this situation will have. And those who have been pretending that this whole situation is as simple as the boundary between two London boroughs just demonstrate their own idiocy. Their own unwillingness to take responsibility. Last weekend, the Greens, we had our spring conference, and we had voices from the Green parties in Ireland, Northern Ireland, England and Wales, as well as Scotland, coming together to share our perspectives and to share some strategies. And we need all of us across the political spectrum to stand together with those on the island of Ireland who are desperately worried, and again, who are being utterly failed by a UK government that cannot recognise or refuses to the damage that it's doing. I'm angry at the UK's decision no longer to be part of one of the most progressive voices on environmental issues that this planet has. The European Union, and in relation to the shared resources, the common resources that have to be managed in common. And by the way, yes, I do include the fish in the sea in that. And one of the most important voices that the world has had on the climate crisis has been the European Union. On that, as on so many other issues, it's been UK governments who've been doing the damage, who've been preventing Europe from being more progressive and from being more democratic. It's UK governments that have held it back. And on democracy, I'm angry too. I know some people on the other side of this debate feel angry that they had a vote and they won the vote by the narrowest of whiskers, and they want that to mean that they have a mandate to take it to the extreme. I don't think they do. But I know that they're angry about the issue of democracy as well. Well, there is another argument about democracy, because it's not just an X on a piece of paper. It's how power is exercised in our lives all of the time. And if you look at what the European Parliament managed to do when a toxic, damaging trade deal, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, was going to hand what should be democratically accountable power over to panels of corporate lawyers, European citizens and the European Parliament killed off that threat. Yeah. And the UK government is proposing a trade deal that will not only take power from citizens, not only leave us outside of the ability of Europe to act together on those issues, not only give no voice to the Scottish Parliament or the Welsh Assembly, even the Westminster Parliament will not have the power to mitigate the worst effects of those trade deals, to determine what should be the negotiating lines on those trade deals, or to say yes or no at the end of the day once they've been negotiated. Even the Westminster Parliament will be sacrificed. That is not democracy, and I am angry about that as well. More than anything, I am angry at the loss of the principle of freedom of movement. I just turned 45 the other week. No, really, I did. Which means I was born just a couple of months after this country became a member of the European institutions as they were then, what would become the European Union as it is now. Funnily enough, my party was born about that same time. I wasn't immediately a member, but both I and my party were born in the age of European political and economic integration. And that was just a few short decades after yet another European war. And generation after generation, war after war, the young people of the countries of Europe could be sent forcibly by their governments into fields and ditches to kill one another to serve the interests of those governments. And then after the Second World War, in the middle of the 20th century, we began to build institutions that eventually resulted in the principle of freedom of movement. The idea that the young people of the countries of Europe would never face that fate. They instead could choose themselves whether they want to travel, where they want to live, to learn, to work, to make a life. That European future that they had, it tears my heart out to see that being taken away from them. The European Union has been one of the most successful peace projects in history, and we must commit to it. But I want to finish by echoing something that David said in one of the earlier speeches, because we must not only be angry, we must add to our anger some hope. I was born inside Europe, and I'm going to stay inside Europe with every last bit of energy that I have. I'm going to make sure that we don't give up the ghost. I'm not willing, as some Remain politicians are, to say, well, you know, we had the vote, we have to respect it, we're going to give up and pretend that we believe the opposite of the truth. I'm not willing to go along with that. I'm not willing to go along with those who say we can have a deal that will give exactly the same benefits as the single market, but unwilling to talk about one of the critical benefits being freedom of movement. That's hypocrisy. I'm not willing to do that because I know there is hope. I intend to die a member of the European Union, and not by moving, by staying here. I don't intend the next generation to think that that was just a blip, just an aberration in history. I want them to know, and I hope that they can know, that their future is European too. We are not willing to give up on our fight to stay in Europe. If we have to fight to get back in, we will, but we're not resigned to that fate yet, and we will oppose Brexit with every breath that we have. Thank you so much for being here.